From ABC Action News, your election headquarters, this is Democracy 2018, Florida's future.
Well, this is the day we've been waiting months for. All those mailers, commercials, and text messages and candidates knocking on your door, leading to this election day as you decide Florida's future. Good evening, everyone. I'm Jamison Euler.
And I'm Wendy Ryan. Thanks for joining us for our Democracy 2018 election special. The polls are now officially closed, and only the people in line right now can still cast their vote.
We have a live team of reporters standing by right now, and over the next several hours, we'll be closely watching multiple big races that will decide the future of our state.
And none of them more important than the race to decide who will be our next governor. Tallahassee Mayor Andrew Gillum hoping to become the first African-American to lead our state. But former Congressman Ron DeSantis is trying to maintain the 20-year streak of Republicans in the governor's mansion.
We've got crews monitoring both campaigns tonight, but we want to start our team coverage with ABC Action News reporter Carson Chambers, who's monitoring the DeSantis camp tonight in Orlando. Carson?
Hey guys, supporters are starting to show up. We are inside the Rosen Hotel in Orlando. This is where Republican gubernatorial candidate Ron DeSantis will huddle up with people who are here to support him. We just took a walk around the room and actually ran into his first grade teacher who actually taught him to read in Dunedin. Now, the Tea Party candidate was loosely endorsed by President Trump in a very tight race, so we just don't know how late this night is going to be. Now, DeSantis cast his ballot this afternoon in Jacksonville. He tweeted out, "Let's finish strong" to voters. The Iraq War veteran and former prosecutor saying in recent days he sees historic energy on his side. Now, it is close, though. The latest Quinnipiac poll puts Democrat Andrew Gillum about 7 points ahead of DeSantis. Still a very tight race. So we're going to see what happens tonight. Back to you guys.
And Carson, you know, a lot of people here are excited too. I think everyone thinks they're going to win, especially when the polls just closed. Super excitement here. Now behind me, the Gillum camp is actually scrambling because we had a huge thunderstorm come through, knocked out some of their power, and they're making sure that the microphone system where Andrew Gillum takes the stage behind me is actually still working. But all day today, he has been out trying to encourage people to get out and vote. He says he is the anti-Trump candidate, and he thinks people will vote with him because of that. He has spent the past couple of months just on the ground trying to get support for his campaign. Here at the Florida A&M University, where he is a graduate of, his alma mater, there was a huge party last night here at FAMU, a concert, a rally. The energy is high. He expected a huge turnout today, but it has been raining all day. It has been foggy, and there was a massive thunderstorm that hit here just an hour ago. We will have to wait and see if this rain has affected people going out to the polls. Wendy, Jamison.
Michael, thank you. The other big race tonight, of course, the U.S. Senate. Governor Rick Scott looking to keep his political career moving forward by flipping a seat for Republicans, but he is in a close race tonight, Wendy.
Yeah, that's right, Jamison. All the polls have him neck and neck with Democratic Senator Bill Nelson for months now. So let's get out to ABC Action News reporter Julie Solomon live with the Nelson campaign right now. Julie.
Wendy, the doors here at Embassy Suites just opened up just moments ago. A crowd has started to gather inside this room. There's also dozens of people, dozens of supporters inside the hotel lobby right now. Now, Senator Bill Nelson was first elected to the U.S. Senate seat back in 2000. He's held that position for 18 years now. He had a low-key election day, only holding private events, but he also, in the past few days, spent time in Orlando, Kissimmee, and Melbourne. He waved to drivers and held signs, and Nelson says he's for lower taxes, better education, Medicare, and Social Security. And again, the doors here at Embassy Suites in downtown Orlando just opened up minutes ago. Senator Bill Nelson going up against Governor Rick Scott for the U.S. Senate seat. That is where my colleague Ryan Smith joins us now live in Naples. Ryan?
And Julie, as you know, this has been an expensive race and largely a negative race, but tonight the attack ads, well, they are off the air, and it all comes down to the ballot box. Where does Florida stand in this U.S. Senate race? Well, I can tell you, I know where all these folks stand. We are inside a beach and golf resort in Naples. There's a couple dozen or so of Governor Rick Scott's supporters here watching the big board, waiting for those results to come in. As you can see, the stage is set tonight. But earlier today in Tampa, Governor Scott spent a few hours in Tampa. He told us today he is confident he will win big, but it's been an extremely tight margin between him and Senator Bill Nelson. The governor, no stranger to close calls. In both of his previous races, the victory came down to just a narrow margin. He's reportedly spent more than $60 million of his own money in the race, about $12 million of that $60 million coming in just the past 2 weeks. So again, an expensive race. This is neck and neck at the moment, and it's only hours away to finding out how it all shakes out. That's the latest live in Naples. Ryan Smith, ABC Action News.
Ryan, thank you. And one of the biggest ripple effects that could come here from Florida is the balance of power in Congress.
ABC Action News reporter Lauren St. Germain joins us now to show you how our state's decision could impact the entire country. Lauren?
Yeah, that's right, Wendy and Jameson. So right now we're looking at 35 seats up for grabs in the Senate, you see, including, of course, Senator Nelson's, which could stay with Nelson as one for the Democrats or go to Governor Rick Scott and go Republican. Right now, Republicans do have control, and there are 9 of them up for re-election. Democrats need to flip at least 2 seats in order to take control. Now, according to 538, which is a website that does a lot of political analysis, there is an 85% chance that Republicans maintain control of the Senate. Coming up in just about 10 minutes, we'll talk about the predictions about balance of power in the House. Wendy, back to you.
All right, Lauren, thank you. Well, a lot of eyes and a lot of money focusing on Florida leading up to tonight.
ABC Action News anchor Paul LeGrone is standing by with our political analysts tonight, breaking down the key races as we go. Paul?
Yeah, Jameson, as I like to say here we go. The table is set, the votes are being counted, and the future of Florida and the country about to come into very sharp focus tonight. Meet the panel, political expert Dr. Susan McManus and former Florida Congressman Jim Davis. And I want to get into some breaking news just coming down tonight, more on the exit polls that are just coming in. This is on the national scale. I want to say these are preliminary exit polling numbers from ABC News reporting this, and I'll hit the highlights here. The House races, they're going to be fought district by district, but voters, according to these exit poll numbers, 53 to 43% say they'd rather see Democrats than Republicans in control of the House. 39% say they'd cast their ballots to show opposition to Trump, 26% who say they voted to show him support. And here's what I thought was interesting. Despite the roaring economy, the right track, wrong track survey, 41% say the country's headed in the right direction, 56% say it's in the wrong direction. What do you make of those numbers tonight?
I think that if you look at the national statistics, the economy looks good, but you talk to individuals, people are struggling to pay their bills. Healthcare is the best example of that, and I think that's one of the reasons why that's a top issue tonight as well.
Does that give you any indication about what is going to happen here tonight?
I think it's district by district. These national statistics get us into trouble sometimes, as we learned in the last presidential race. It is going to be district by district, and here in Florida, a lot of it's going to differ. But we do know that we have 6 very, very competitive congressional districts that can be the key to whether the Democrats take back control of the U.S. House. We're going to be key to that decision.
Yeah, and Florida, all eyes are on Florida, of course, and we're going to find out something really shortly here coming up. We'll go back to you, Wendy.
All right, Paul, thank you. Well, the night is just getting started here on our special coverage of Florida's future. We've got more key races to go over as we wait for the first results to come in tonight.
And we're watching a key decision that will impact your wallet and your commute for years to come. We're back in just a moment. Stay with us.
Welcome back. It's not just your representation in Washington that's up for grabs tonight. We're also monitoring a race for the state Senate.
ABC Action News reporter Maricela Burgos is keeping a close eye on the race between Dana Young and Janet Cruz. Maricela?
Yeah, I'm at Senator Dana Young's watch party. She is hoping that she will keep her seat behind me. You can see plenty of her supporters are here at this Tampa restaurant. Now, as I mentioned, she's hoping to keep her seat. She served in the Senate for 2 years. She told me she is confident her voters showed up to the polls. Her competitor, Democratic candidate Janet Cruz, is hoping to take the victory tonight. She isn't a rookie to politics. She is a member of the Florida House of Representatives and has said she is, quote, fighting for Florida's future. Now, we are at the Young watch party. We are headed to Janet Cruz's watch party, and we hope to bring you reaction from both candidates as the results come in. Reporting live, Maricela Burgos, ABC Action News.
Maricela, thank you. Meantime, still to come, the big night is just getting started. Our first results should start coming in the next few minutes. And straight ahead, we're digging into the race to be Florida's next chief law enforcement officer. Welcome back to our special coverage of Florida's future. As we wait for the first results to come in, Democratic candidate for governor Andrew Gillum sent out this tweet after 7 o'clock urging last-minute voters to stay in line.
Only people still in line can still vote. Republican Ron DeSantis also urging his supporters to vote just minutes ago in that tweet.
All right, we're taking a look at the first election results, and here they are for governor. Ron DeSantis with 59% of the vote, Andrew Gillum with just 40% of the vote, and Darcy Richardson with 1% of the vote. Obviously, 1% of the precincts reporting, so we have a long night to go.
Let's look at the race for U.S. Senate now at this hour. 51% for Rick Scott to Bill Nelson's 49%. Again, 1% of the precincts reporting. The race to be Florida's next attorney general also getting a lot of attention tonight. Republican Ashley Moody taking on Democrat Sean Shaw.
Yeah, ABC Action News reporter Sarah Hollenbeck continuing our live team coverage right now with the Moody campaign. Sarah?
Well, just moments ago, they opened up the doors here at the ballroom, and I can tell you that not many people out here just yet, but they're about to start trickling in just a few moments. And earlier today, we caught up with Ashley Moody as she voted with her family at the Florida Aquarium in Tampa. The Plant City native is a former attorney, judge, and federal prosecutor. Her big areas of focus: the opioid epidemic, expanding gun rights, and supporting local law enforcement.
Right now, we face very complex issues in our criminal justice system, from the opioid epidemic, human trafficking, elder abuse, mental health issues, how it intersects with our court system. I'm the only one that has prosecuted cases, led investigations with law enforcement, has an understanding of our criminal justice system because I've been a judge and a prosecutor.
Now, Moody would take over Pam Bondi's seat. She has also earned support from her this evening. And Heather Lee, another one of our reporters, is at Sean Shaw's campaign event tonight with all of his supporters. Heather, how's it looking out there?
Well, Sarah, Sean Shaw's party started about an hour ago. At that time, it was basically an empty room with a little music, but now you can see that it has really filled in with supporters, folks getting off work and heading here to show their support for Sean Shaw and watch these election results roll in. Now, I have been speaking with a lot of supporters out here as of right now, and I've been speaking with Derek. Derek, how are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. Okay,
a little nervous.
A little nervous. Yeah. Okay, so I know that you are registered here in Florida, but you travel a lot. So tell me why it was so important for you to be here tonight.
Well, you know, I had my absentee ballot ready to mail in, and I was in Arkansas at a film festival. I program festivals, and after the festival was over, I was headed to Maryland to work for the next festival, and I turned the car around and drove 1,000 miles here to vote in person because I just didn't trust the mail-in ballot, you know?
Yeah. Well, Derek, I appreciate you. I know that it's important for you to be here tonight, so hopefully the results are in your favor. And we're expecting about 250 people to come out here tonight, so we'll check back in about 30 minutes.
Heather, thank you. While all the races are going on across the country, it will all add up to who has control of Congress.
ABC Action News reporter Lauren St. Germain joins us now to show you how the U.S. House could shape up tonight. Lauren?
Yeah, Jameson, Wendy, we're actually starting to get in some results right now, including Daniel Webster, the Republican from Spring Hill. He just won back his seat. So tonight, all 435 seats are up for grabs, and the Republicans do have control. The White House has been bracing for the possibility that Democrats will take control of the House. They need to pick up 23 seats to win the majority. If the Democrats do take over, this would really put the administration under some intense scrutiny and increase the possibility for investigations into the White House. But if Republicans keep the control, political analysts say this would really allow the president to push his agenda forward. We're really watching the House elections in California, Texas, Virginia, and Pennsylvania. We'll keep you updated because those results are coming in now. Wendy, back to you.
All right, Lauren, we'll check back with you. Thank you. Meantime, a lot of eyes and a lot of money focusing on Florida leading up to tonight.
ABC Action News anchor Paul LeGrone standing by with our political analyst this evening, breaking down the key races as we go here, Paul.
Yeah, and we've got some results coming in here as we look at the map here. The early votes starting to trickle in. 1% reporting. Total votes, Andrew Gillum, take a closer look here, 405,000 votes. Ron DeSantis, 455,000 votes. Obviously, the math is far from clear right now because it's only 1% reporting. And I want to ask my panel here tonight, what do you make of what we're seeing so far? These are very early returns.
Well, so far, a lot of them are coming in from very small counties where you would expect Republicans to do well. We see very little from South Florida, Southeast Florida, which is where a huge portion of Florida's Democrats reside.
One of the counties where Andrew Gillum is doing well right now reporting is Osceola County. We saw during the primaries that he carried primarily the urban counties, the big cities, Tampa, Orlando, Jacksonville corridor, South Florida. Is that the roadmap to victory for him tonight? Can his sort of specks of blue overcome a DeSantis sea of red if that's the road we're headed down tonight, guys?
It's really a twofer. It's the urban areas, but it's also minimizing the margin in a lot of the small counties. Andrew Gillum, unlike Ron DeSantis, spent a lot of time doing retail politics in small counties all over the state, and that will have an impact. We'll see how much.
All right, thank you. And let's take one more look at the map before I send it back to you guys. You can see kind of like the primaries played out. You see sort of everything sort of encompassing the red right now, and then the blue is starting to pop up in certain areas. We'll have to see how this plays out. Will Gillum carry the major metropolitan areas? Is that his roadmap to victory tonight? Or will Ron DeSantis have his roadmap to victory carried out through a larger swath of Florida and win the geographical battle? We'll see how it plays out. Jameson.
Certainly we'll know over the next couple of hours. Thank you, Paul. Right now, we're also watching the results on a key decision that will impact your wallet and your commute for years to come.
And we're taking a look at the first election results. For governor, we start with Ron DeSantis with 52% of the vote, Andrew Gillum with 46% of the vote, Darcy Richardson with just 1%, but again, only 1% of the precincts reporting.
And let's take a look again at the U.S. Senate here, 52% for Rick Scott to Bill Nelson's 48%, again, 1% of the precincts reporting. We'll be right back.
We are continuing to cover the Florida's future as the election results come in. This is Amendment 3, and that is the Florida legislature would not be able to make decisions when it comes to gambling. Voter control of gambling would be in effect, and right now it looks like the voters agree with that, with 73% voting yes, 27% voting no, but again, this is only 1% of the precincts reporting. Then we move to Amendment 13, which is about the dog racing here in Florida, and that entails let me just go with bans dog racing and gambling on dog racing, greyhounds and other breeds included. Again, yes votes 66%, no votes at 34%, with just 1% of the precincts reporting. I should point out that 60% voting needed for these amendments to pass on all amendments. So we'll see how this night goes. Only 1% of the precincts reporting. A long night. Jameson?
Wendy, people in Hillsborough County deciding today if they're willing to pay more in sales tax to help improve transportation. ABC Action News reporter Eric Waxler is live tonight following both sides of that referendum. Eric?
Yeah, they're feeling very good here at the All for Transportation offices in Tampa. After the early results came in just a few minutes ago, this place erupted because they feel confident that that 1 cent sales tax hike will go forward, will be approved today by the voters, which the money will then go towards all kinds of transportation improvements. We've got All for Transportation chairman here, Tyler Hudson. And Tyler, give me a feel for why you guys feel so good after seeing those early results.
Sure. Well, hey, we're excited. You know, Eric, we got on the ballot because 77,000 people demanded in just 6 weeks they wanted to vote on this. And based on the early results we're seeing so far, you know, we're at 57%. More people are going to have voted before today than voted, you know, here on Election Day. And if the trends we're seeing hold, then I think we're going to have a good night. I think everyone in Hillsborough County is going to have a good night.
They've been celebrating. Well, it's not over yet, but it could be very soon. We'll check in a little bit later. Live in Tampa, Eric Waxler, ABC Action News.
Eric, thank you. Meantime, the balance of power in Washington at stake tonight as voters around the country head to the polls. ABC Action News reporter Lauren St. Germain joins us now. 3 important races that could impact the country. Lauren?
Yeah, there really are quite a few races that could shift the power. So first up, we're going to talk about Arizona. A Republican senator is retiring. So we have these 2 women right here, Kyrsten Sinema against Republican Martha McSally. They're both current members of Congress. And by the way, either will make history, becoming the first female senator to represent Arizona. We have no results yet from Arizona. Another race is this Indiana Senate race. We have incumbent Democratic Senator Joe Donnelly and the Republican candidate Mike Braun. We are starting to see some results here in Indiana. Now, important to note that President Trump won this state by close to 20 points, so Donnelly is looking at a pretty tough race against Republicans to take this seat. And next up, we have Tennessee, which is a deep red seat that's up for grabs because of Senator Bob Corker's retirement. We have the Republican candidate Marsha Blackburn, who is currently a member of Congress, and then we have the Democrat Phil Bredesen, who at one point was the mayor of Nashville and governor of Tennessee. As you can see, we're getting the results in. We'll keep you updated throughout the hour. Jameson, back to you.
Lauren, thank you. The results are slowly starting to come in. We're keeping an eye on who's taking the early lead and where the races go from here. Stay with the ABC Action News on this election night that will decide Florida's future.
From ABC Action News, your election headquarters, this is Democracy 2018, Florida's future.
Welcome back on this election night. The polls are now closed and the results are now starting to come in. And by the end of the night tonight, we will know the direction of Florida's future.
Yeah, ABC Action News bringing you the special coverage of the 2018 midterm elections. And we're just getting breaking news in right now. Current Congressman for District 12 is Gus Bilirakis. He is the incumbent, and he has just been announced that he has won his seat. He is keeping his District 12 seat. Again, incumbent Gus Bilirakis has won his seat in District 12. Meanwhile, one of the big races up for grabs tonight, who will be our next governor? And you just saw the two, DeSantis and Gillum.
Yeah, Ron DeSantis with the early lead at this point over Andrew Gillum, as well as the Gus Bilirakis numbers that we were just talking about there, Wendy, winning re-election there by 59% is what he had tonight.
Right.
Congratulations to him.
Yes. ABC Action News reporter Carson Chambers live covering the DeSantis campaign right now. And it looks like right now he's got an early lead, but only 1% of the precincts reporting. Carson, how's the mood out there?
Hey guys, the mood is pretty chill right now. The room is starting to fill up with supporters inside the Rosen Center. We are in Orlando tonight. This is where Republican gubernatorial candidate Ron DeSantis will be huddling up with his supporters. And looking at some early voting numbers, we are seeing that at least for Hillsborough County, with all those early voters ballots counted, that it looks like Gillum is in the lead by at least 11 points. Now, DeSantis, an Iraq War veteran, a former prosecutor, saying that he has seen historic energy on his side, noting Republican voters' intensity through this midterm, but it is a very, very tight race. And folks talking in this room tonight that it could be a very late night. Live in Orlando, I'm Carson Chambers. We're going to send it over to Michael Paluska.
Hey, Carson, you know, Andrew Gillum is hoping that this is a historic win. He would be the first black governor in the history of the state of Florida. A little bit of a delay here in Tallahassee. We had a huge thunderstorm come through, but finally the doors open and people are starting to trickle in. We're on the campus of Florida A&M University, Andrew Gillum's alma mater. He is the mayor of Tallahassee. He has a huge outpouring of support here. And despite that huge rainstorm, people are here, they are showing up, and they are excited. They think they have momentum. They think they have the millennials, and they think that they have Republicans in their back pocket as well, wanting to vote for something different than what they're seeing in Washington. So the doors are open. It is a little quiet here right now, but we expect this place to be packed. We expect Andrew Gillum to give a very fiery speech tonight. He has been hitting the campaign trail as much as any candidate as you can imagine, trying to stir up everyone. He was in the Panhandle yesterday, visiting with Hurricane Michael survivors, hitting the purple parts of the state, trying to really pull in the Republicans and the independents. Of course, we're going to see what happens. It's all coming down to the wire. We'll send it back to you guys. Wendy Jameson.
All right, Michael, thank you. We'll check back with you. Meantime, the Bay Area has been playing a key role in the lead up to this election. Democrats and Republicans making plenty of stops here before today. ABC Action News anchor Paul LeGrone is here breaking down the county by county votes so far. Paul, how's it looking?
Let's go to the map right now. We're starting to get some numbers. I want to point your attention to the total vote. Andrew Gillum with 1.3 million and change. Ron DeSantis with 1.3 million, 38,000. So we're talking about 28,000 votes between the two so far. You can see where the red is starting to pile up here. Ron DeSantis in the lead there in Pasco County, in the lead in Manatee County. Andrew Gillum right now has blue in Pinellas County. I want to take you to the Senate race right now because that's really getting interesting, really tight. 1,370,000 votes for Rick Scott, 1,344,000 votes for Bill Nelson. Very tight. I want to throw it to the panel, though, with a question. Are there parallels between the governor's race and the Senate race in terms of how these two races may play out tonight? Are they in lockstep or are they divergent?
I think they're heavily in lockstep because Andrew Gillum is a young, fresh face on the horizon, has attracted a lot of new voters who I believe will vote for Bill Nelson, too, as a Democrat. And remember, the Senate race is the top race on the ballot. So I think you'll see a lot of parallel tonight between the two.
Dr. McManus, still very early, though, right?
We predicted from the outset that it was going to be a nail biter, and it certainly looks like it. But voters already know that over 5 million people cast their votes early. These are things that are being run through the election supervisors' machines quickly and posted. Some counties post quicker than others. That's why if you're a viewer and you're saying, well, these numbers don't sound like the 5 million we've been talking about, that's why.
All right, I'm doing the math in my head, guys. We're talking about 35,000 votes right now between Andrew Gillum and Ron DeSantis as the numbers come in. Jameson.
All right, Paul, of course, the other big race tonight you were just talking about at the U.S. Senate race. Governor Rick Scott looking to unseat Democratic incumbent Senator Bill Nelson. Here's a look at how that race is shaping up so far as we look at that big board. And it is 50% to 50%, as you showed there, Paul, in those early numbers so far at this point. This is going to be a tight race this evening, Wendy.
Right, 4% of the precincts reporting, so still a long night to go. We want to go now to ABC Action News reporter Julie Solomon, who's live with Senator Nelson's camp. Julie, what's the mood out there?
Relative to Senator Nelson's race.
Well, Wendy, a lot of cheering and applauding. His chief of staff just took the stage and addressed the crowd. Now several other people are taking the podium and they are speaking. Senator Bill Nelson hopes to hold on to that U.S. Senate seat tonight. He's held that position for 18 years. And the Embassy Suites here in downtown Orlando, packed tonight. That is where he's holding this watch party. Now, he campaigned throughout Central Florida. Just in the last few days, he was in Melbourne, Kissimmee, as well as Orlando. And we just caught up with the development chair for the Orange County Democratic Party. So they said a lot of voter turnout was very significant. So that is the latest here live in Orlando. I'm going to toss it to my colleague Ryan Smith, who joins us now live in Naples with Rick Scott. Ryan.
That's right, Julie. Governor Rick Scott tonight hoping to extend his political career, transitioning his duties from Tallahassee to Washington, D.C. It all comes down to this very tight and hotly contested U.S. Senate race. You can see behind me the watch party is well underway tonight in Naples. Dozens of the governor's supporters are here filing in as we speak, ready to see the results come in. Governor Scott did spend a few minutes today meeting campaign staff and taking pictures with supporters in Tampa. And this goes down as one of the most expensive Senate races in Florida history. Much of the millions of dollars spent on mudslinging and negative TV ads. And that back and forth between Senator Nelson and the governor, well, it comes down to a couple things. The senator blames the governor for the state's red tide issues that have been crippling our beaches. And Governor Rick Scott has long called Senator Bill Nelson a career Washington politician, often an empty seat in the U.S. Senate. And now a win tonight means the 65-year-old two-term governor, Governor Rick Scott, becomes the junior senator next to Republican Marco Rubio. We're live tonight in Naples. Ryan Smith, ABC Action News.
All right, thank you, Ryan. And one of the biggest ripple effects that could come from Florida is the balance of power in Congress.
ABC Action News reporter Lauren St. Germain joins us now to show you how our state's decision could impact the entire country. Lauren?
Yeah, Jameson and Wendy, we're starting to see results come in. ABC News is reporting in Virginia, incumbent Democratic Senator Tim Kaine will easily win. Also, Vermont's Bernie Sanders will win re-election for his third term in the Senate, easily outpacing 8 other candidates in Vermont. So right now, 1/3 of the seats in the Senate are up for re-election. Democrats need to flip at least 2 in order to take control, or else the Republicans will still have control of the Senate. We'll keep you updated throughout the night. Wendy, back to you.
All right, thanks, Lauren. A lot of eyes and a lot of money focusing on Florida leading up to tonight.
ABC Action News anchor Paul Lagrone is standing by with our political analyst this evening, breaking down the key races as we go along tonight, Paul.
Yeah, let's look at this map because it's starting to come into shape right now. I know it's still early, but you see where the blue is showing up, you see where the red is showing up. Hillsborough starting to report some results in right now. I mean, it's pretty minuscule here, 435 votes to 286. We've got a long way to go there, but you see where Andrew Gillum stands right now in the lead, albeit razor sharp, 1.8 million to DeSantis, 1.7 million in change. I'm doing the math right there. It looks like a little more than 100,000 votes between the two of them right now. That's statewide. So the red, the blue starting to come in. Fewer and fewer counties are in the gray, meaning the counties are starting to report the results. We are starting to get an idea of where things may be going, but it's still very early in this night when it comes to the governor's race. Back to you guys.
All right, thank you, Paul. We are hearing that one race has been called. Gus Bilirakis has won his seat as 57% of the vote voting for him. Again, he's the incumbent representing District 12. So congratulations, Gus Bilirakis.
And also have some results in because Charlie Crist is also heading back to Washington. He won tonight 58% to 42%. The former Attorney General here in Florida and the former governor, again doing another term in Congress.
Meantime, still to come, we do have a long way to go before the races are settled for tonight. So straight ahead, we're digging into how the Bay Area is helping decide the U.S. Senate race and which way your neighbors are leaning. We're continuing to cover Florida's future as the election results come in. You're looking at Amendment 4. Jameson?
Amendment 4 right there is restoring voting rights to felons. Right now, yes, 64% to no, 36%.
And then we go to Amendment 6 right now, which expands Marsy's Law, the rights of crime victims. It also increases judges to retire at 75 instead of 70. You can say 60% voted yes on this one, 40% voting no, but only 3% precincts reporting. Meantime, the Bay Area always plays a crucial role, even in statewide elections, and that holds true in the U.S. Senate race as well.
ABC Action News anchor Paul LeGrone is here breaking down the county-by-county votes so far. Paul?
All right, let's go to the Senate race right now, and forgive me 1 second. I want to go to the state view and see how that's playing out. And of course, we're in the Agricultural Commissioner race. There we go, Senate, state view. Here we go. All right, so we've got blue and red playing out in Hillsborough County, reporting 14%, and Bill Nelson is in the lead there. Pinellas also in Bill Nelson's category right now. You see where the red is playing out in Polk County. That is going to Rick Scott right now. Look at the vote total there. This race is as advertised, razor thin margins. 2,125,000 votes to Bill Nelson's 2,218,000. I'm trying to do the math in my head right now. That is about 100,000 and change difference. So at this point in the night, this race is still very close, but I'll send it back to you guys. I do want to say the governor's race playing out much like we thought it might. Andrew Gillum picking up some major numbers in major metropolitan areas, much like he did during the primaries. Ron DeSantis' sea of red happening in the rural areas of the state. The question is, will that be enough to counterbalance Gillum's gains where the cities are? We don't have electoral college in Florida, so population does matter. Jameson.
Certainly does. All right, thank you, Paul. The race to be Florida's next Attorney General also getting a lot of attention tonight. Republican Ashley Moody taking on Democrat Sean Shaw.
ABC Action News reporter Sarah Hollenbeck continuing our live team coverage right now with the Moody campaign. Sarah?
And Ashley Moody is feeling very optimistic tonight. A lot of her supporters now flooding into this room at this hotel right at the International Mall. And Edward Fuller over here, he's been working on her campaign. Step on over, let's talk to you. Tell me a little bit about what you like about Ashley Moody for Attorney General.
Ashley Moody came to Flagler County several months ago, and I heard her talk. And she sat around, and there was 25 people, and we heard her talk about her qualifications, her passion, and her truth about why she's running. And she's not a politician. She really wants to do what's right for the state of Florida. And that her passion and her bona fides, you know, she's been a prosecutor, state, federal. She's been the youngest judge here in Florida. It's going to serve Florida well, and she'll be hitting the ground running for day one.
Thank you so much for joining us. So lots of people out here hoping that she does well. And Heather Lee is also with Sean Shaw's folks. And Heather, how's it looking out there?
Well, Sarah, what a difference an hour and a half makes. It was empty just an hour and a half ago, but now you can see there are a lot of supporters out here for Sean Shaw. We saw Sean Shaw making his way around this room, just sort of greeting people and shaking hands just to thank them for their support. It's still very early in the night, so of course we're waiting on those results. Now, earlier today, we watched Shaw cast his ballot at the North Tampa Library. He's been campaigning on some pretty big topics impacting Florida, gun control specifically, finding out why there's so many guns on the streets of Florida and why they are so easy to get, getting rid of Florida's Stand Your Ground law, plus looking into the lack of funding for public schools. He says he's ready to see how tonight will go.
We're confident. I mean, we put in a lot of work, and listen, we were in early vote sites when early vote was going and souls to the polls. The numbers of Democrats voting versus Republicans and MBAs are amazing. We're in unprecedented territory here. We just got to see what kind of election day returns we have.
So again, we're expecting about 250 people to fill in this room. The results are coming in, so we'll get back to you as soon as we start getting a better idea on how this race is going.
All right, Heather, thank you. Meantime, the balance of power in Washington at stake tonight as voters around the country head to the polls. ABC Action News reporter Lauren St. Germain joins us now with two races that could impact the country's results. Lauren?
Yeah, first of all, let's talk about a big Senate race in Mississippi. We actually have 3 candidates. The Republicans right now are scrambling to keep both seats. The 2 Republicans are right here. We have Cindy Hyde-Smith and Chris McDaniel. Hyde-Smith is the current senator. McDaniel is a Mississippi state senator. Then we have the Democrat who is coming up. He is Mike Espy. He's a former representative. Polls in Mississippi close at 8 o'clock. And one of the biggest stories nationwide is Texas. We have Republican Senator Ted Cruz and Representative Beto O'Rourke, who is the Democrat. And this is one of those states that really should be a slam dunk. This Senate seat has been red since 1988, but polls have shown a surprisingly tight race. Polls in Texas close at 9 p.m. Will be interesting to see. Wendy, back to you.
All right, Lauren, thank you. We'll check back with you. We are continuing to cover Florida's future as the election results come in. And you see for governor, Andrew Gillum is now at 51%, with Ron DeSantis at 48%, and now 14% of the precincts reporting, and Gillum is in the lead.
Let's take a look at that U.S. Senate race at this hour. 51% now a flip-flop here to Bill Nelson. 51% to Rick Scott's 49%. Again, 17% of the precincts reporting, but a good sizable number there. Bill Nelson now taking the lead at this hour.
Meantime, a lot of eyes are on Florida. We want to go back to Paul LaGrone, standing by with our political analysts about what's happening with all the races and how they feel it's going. Paul?
Yeah, Andrew Gillum has a 200,000 plus vote lead right now over Ron DeSantis. That's where we are right now, 2.6 million and change to Ron DeSantis' 2.5 million. Here's what it translates to on the map. You see where Gillum is popping right now. Tampa Bay, all of South Florida, Palm Beach, Broward, Miami-Dade, Orlando, Jacksonville. And panel, I want to ask you the question here. Is that the potential road map to victory for Gillum, or can DeSantis counteract that tonight with enough red in rural areas? How might this break down, and what does that say about the state of Florida?
Well, let's look at Pinellas County, where President Trump won. Andrew Gillum is ahead there by a decent margin, so he is definitely turning the tables. And what he's also doing is running up a heavy vote in some of the urban parts of the state. What we don't know yet is whether President Trump's visits have succeeded in running up the number of votes in some of the rural parts of the state. And the other factor are the independent voters and where they come in. If they come in heavy for Gillum, it's hard for Ron DeSantis to win.
DeSantis is going to draw a lot of his support from not only the rural parts of the state, which typically have high turnout, but also has a chance to gain some votes versus Gillum in the suburban counties, the ones with families, more Republican voting. We have our eyes on certain counties in this area like Pasco and Manatee and Polk, looking at that kind of vote. So it's still going to be close, but you know, it is traditional. Republicans really get lots of their votes in the heavy urban areas, and the Republicans in the suburban and rural, with the suburban counties really being the swing.
Speaking of that, I want to take you back to the map here. Here's a look at the U.S. Senate race, and look at the similarities between the map and the U.S. Senate race right now for Nelson and Rick Scott. Nelson carrying the major metropolitan areas, Rick Scott doing better in the more rural counties of Florida. So we talked about how perhaps there's a parallel between the governor's race and the Senate race tonight. We shall see. Jameson.
All right, Paul, thank you. Still to come. We've got more of our special election coverage tonight straight ahead, including one more look at the early results of our key races. Stay with us.
We are continuing to cover Florida's future as the election results come in. You're looking for the Commissioner of Agriculture right now, Matt Caldwell with 51% of the vote, Nikki Fried with 49% of the vote, with 6% of the precincts reporting for that race.
And let's look at the numbers for the state's chief financial officer, Jimmy Patronis, right now beating Jeremy Ring 52% to 48%.
And for governor, Andrew Gillum is now in the lead with 50% of the vote versus Ron DeSantis' 49%. Again, now 17% of the precincts reporting in this race.
And the U.S. Senate race, Bill Nelson 51% to Rick Scott's 49%. The balance of power in Washington at stake tonight as voters around the country head to the polls. ABC Action News reporter Lauren St. Germain joins us now with two races that could impact the entire country here, Lauren.
Yeah, Jameson, two more races we're talking about. So in Nevada, the Senate, we have the Republican and incumbent Dean Heller and Democrat Jackie Rosen. Rosen is a current member of Congress. This is considered to be one of the states where Democrats really have the chance to take a seat away. You can see no results are in yet, but polls in Nevada close at 10 o'clock tonight. And in North Dakota, Republicans are hoping to pick up a seat. We have incumbent Senator Heidi Heitkamp. She finds herself in a really tricky position as a Democrat in a reliably red state. Her opponent, GOP Congressman Kevin Cramer, right now he leads the latest polls by over 11%. Polls in North Dakota close at 9 o'clock tonight. Wendy, back to you.
All right, Lauren, thank you. Well, a lot of eyes and a lot of money focusing on Florida leading up to tonight.
ABC Action News anchor Paul LeGrone standing by with our political analyst tonight, breaking down the key races for us some more, Paul.
Yeah, the numbers starting to add up here, guys, as we go to the map here and see what's happening in the governor's race. Andrew Gillum in the lead, but we're still talking about a slim lead when you take the entire state into account, less than 100,000 votes. Here's where Gillum is leading tonight in the Tampa Bay area, Hillsborough County, Pinellas County. Ron DeSantis, though, picking up red in Pasco County and in Manatee County and a lot of other counties. Gillum is carrying major metropolitan areas, much like he did during the primaries. We're also seeing similarities between how this map is looking and the 2016 election map. So as I toss it to the panel, I want to ask you, first of all, that's interesting. And second of all, what do we not know at this point? Because that's just as important as what we do know.
We don't know exactly where the votes are that are still not reported. It looks like that these early returns are the result of already pass-through ballots, vote by mail, and early voting, but still to be added, it looks like, is Election Day voting. And that's a big chunk of change, we know.
And Representative Davis, the polls are just now about to close in the Panhandle counties where they're in the Central Time Zone. Could that make a difference here?
Absolutely. There's a lot of votes up there, and President Trump went to Pensacola to specifically try to get an extraordinary turnout there. And so that is a big number. The other thing we don't know yet is how many votes are left to be counted down in Dade and Broward County, which will be a Gillum-Nelson stronghold.
Yeah, a huge pool of votes down there, the most populous area in the state. And I think it's interesting how right now, at least how this is playing out at this hour here at 7:55 on this midterm election night, the Senate race in Florida and the governor race in Florida, if you put the map over the map, it's playing out as if there is a direct parallel between how voters are voting for Gillum and what is showing up, at least on the map, at this point for Senator Bill Nelson. Wendy, over to you.
All right, Paul, thank you. Meantime, President Donald Trump has spent the run-up to Election Day crisscrossing the country for rallies supporting Republican candidates. The White House says he spent today making last-minute phone calls.
Sources tell ABC News the president and first lady are joined tonight by the president's three eldest children, son-in-law Jared Kushner and daughter-in-law Laura Trump, all watching those results come in tonight. The president's top White House advisors are also in attendance as they are watching.
All right, we are continuing to cover Florida's future as the election results continue to come in. Governor race, you see it, Andrew Gillum still in the lead with 50% of the vote versus Ron DeSantis with 49%.
And Bill Nelson 51% to Rick Scott's 49% at this hour, 32% of the precincts reporting right now.
And now we go to the Attorney General race. There it is. Ashley Moody with the lead, 54% versus Sean Shaw with just 45%.
And the Agriculture Commissioner, Matt Caldwell, 52% to Nikki Freeds, 48%, 9% of the precincts reporting at this hour.
And our election coverage continues live in just a moment on abcactionnews.com and also on all of our free apps, including on Roku and Amazon Fire TV.
Yeah, so if you're so inclined, you can join us over on Facebook Live for more election coverage. We'll be back on TV with updates throughout the evening for you. Thanks for watching.